Hey, sometimes in life, you're just given a bad hand. But these people make the most out of it. Today, we'll be looking at body bizarre. We'll be looking at people with unique physical traits. Let's go. Keep in mind, I'm not here to make fun of these people. I just want to highlight them and how they go through life. That's it.
Claudio Vieira de Oliveira. He's a 37-year-old who lives with an extraordinary disability.
Looking at Claudio just makes the back of my neck hurt. Oh my gosh.
Desde que do dia que eu nasci até os tempos de hoje, ninguém sabe informar o motivo da minha deficiência física.
Claudio was born with an extreme case of congenital malformation. His legs are badly deformed, and his arms are of little use. And most bizarrely, his vertebral column has twisted back so severely that his head now rests facing backwards along his spine.
I just see Claudio's face crying up. It's just getting to me, man. Oh my gosh.
Quando eu nasci, que o médico me tirou e disse o seguinte, que eu não tinha 24 horas de vida.
Despite the prediction, Claudio survived and felt no pain from his deformity. His parents understandably lost faith in doctors' opinions and never took him back to the hospital.
Em momento nenhum passou na minha cabeça, na minha mente, em desistir.
The clips I pull these from are only like 1 minute long, and then they have the full 40-minute episodes, but I didn't watch it. I just wanted to, pull out just a 1 minute clip. And I just thought, okay, it doesn't really show them fixing Claudio, helping him out, but it just shows how, despite him being, tangled up, twisted, he's still smiling, he's still living the most of life. And you saw how when they picked him up and put on the table, just so he could eat with them, that was just so nice. And he had a nice smile at the end. It's just something, the small things.
Hunan Province, southern China, home to 37-year-old Huang Shungkai. Huang is suffering from the world's biggest ever facial tumor and has the worst recorded case of neurofibromatosis.
Dang, man, I feel really bad for Wang. I mean, I get insecure when I have a pimple, but oh my gosh.
The rare genetic condition causes excessive cell growth and tumors that have melted his face and earned him the nickname China's Elephant Man.
No, why did you have to give him the name Elephant Man, man? You know he's over here having a hard time, has to deal with all this stuff. That's just mean.
Huang's parents were poor farmers, and he was born into poverty. When he was 4 years old, his mother noticed small tumors appearing behind Huang's ears. Unable to afford medical help, Huang's tumors were left to grow.
Wang's just resting his face on the table. We can just see on his lips, he's just having a hard time breathing. He's just like quivering, and with the weight of the tumors just dragging him down. This is just terrible, man.
Growing up with a severe condition was tough, and Huang was bullied by his classmates at school. By age 31, Huang's facial tumor weighed 25 kilograms.
So the tumors weigh 25 kilograms, converted to pounds, which is 55 pounds. So Wang is essentially carrying 55 pounds of tumors dangling on his face. And the kids who bully Wang, make him feel so insecure, it was just terrible. He has no control of that. Those kids are just mean.
In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, 17-year-old Workito Dubibi looks like a typical teenager. But she has spent her whole life hiding a bizarre physical condition. She is the oldest person ever to be found living with a secret parasitic twin.
Outfit change. I just came back from work. I can understand why a baby would keep that secret, because you have this whole lower half of you. Like, who can you tell? This is like a really big issue. And it's like, I'll be super embarrassed by it, especially a 17-year-old. Like, it's just more than acne. This is a whole other portion.
A parasitic twin is actually rarer than conjoined twins or Siamese twins that most people know of.
To give some context, apparently she was changing in the girls' locker room, and then the other girls saw her and like, oh, they were freaked out. But why didn't her parents or her close friends tell her about that?
After 3 months recovering in hospital, where Quito is ready to leave, she is healed perfectly. There were no complications following surgery, and she can even have children if she chooses.
Very well.
That was a great ending. The part where they mentioned she could have her own children kind of flew past my mind, but it's good to know, I guess.
Now, 5 years old, Charlotte is a tiny 2 feet 2 inches tall and weighs just 8 pounds, the same as a newborn baby.
You have a child to love and look after them, which is all that we're actually doing. We just have to do it a bit more than a normal child would need. Life without Charlotte would be very dull. I can definitely say that.
Charlotte is fun size. And you saw her compared next to the cat. It was like, oh, basically the same size.
If you ever had a bad dream, that's what sometimes you feel like, that you're just in this bad dream. Shut her off.
Donnie's face was being attacked by maxillary amyloblastic carcinoma, a rare and aggressive cancer that arises from the epithelium that forms the enamel of the teeth.
I was not ready at all when they showed Donnie.
It's a very rare cancer, and it eats. The doctor said it's like a Pac-Man.
With the help of the disguise specialist, a team of doctors created a framework which attached directly to Donnie's face via facial implants. This frame supported a prosthetic mask and a palate.
I'm going to have to make a two-piece impression and going to have to screw things together in the middle.
It had a piece that came down and it snapped onto the upper palate. So it stabilized it. So with this palate, I was able to eat with.
You know, some people complain about having to wear the retainers.
While Donnie waits for his new prosthetic to be fitted, he won't be alone. After 12 years of marriage, he will, as always, have Sharon by his side.
I give her a trophy the size of this house saying, "You're the best wife in the whole world." She stuck by me through thick and thin. She don't quit.
Donnie's story is really sad, but it has the best ending I have ever seen. Sharon is so sweet. The love they share is so beautiful.
Like any expectant couple, Rita and Lupe Velasquez from Austin, Texas, were full of excitement, waiting for the birth of their first baby.
There were no signs that anything was wrong with the pregnancy. Didn't have any notion that anything was wrong until I went into early labor with her. And then things started moving really fast, and we were in emergency C-section. She was breached. She was delivered really quickly.
They just basically were surprised that she had so much excessive skin and she was so small.
The first few weeks in the hospital.
You know, I can only imagine being a parent and seeing my child, you know, so small like that. I'll be thinking like, man, did I do something wrong?
With Lizzie, were very scary.
The average weight of a newborn is around 3.5 kilograms. Lizzie was just over 1 kilogram when she was born.
Lizzie weighed less than a third of the average.
So these are just a few of her little tiny clothes that I've kept. But this is what she was in for a while.
Lizzie was born with neonatal progeroid syndrome, which means she cannot make or store body fat, although her breasts develop normally, being made mostly of mammary tissue.
Someone was thinking of it, and they answered your question.
She has never weighed more than 29 kilograms.
Lizzie is one of the very few people that are known to have this condition. They have very little muscle mass. Their limbs look very thin, spindly. Many of these children, they die very early in life. Our experience is a little bit different. Lizzie is 23 years old right now, so she has beaten those odds.
Lizzie is living proof that there are different types of this syndrome, and her genes are helping to provide answers.
You know, the human body is amazing. We can lift 500 pounds, we can run marathons, even with our muscles, our mass down to the bone, we're still able to survive. That's the case with Lizzie.
It means she's susceptible to infection, and she's lost her sight in one eye. Because her body can't store fat, if she doesn't eat every 20 minutes or so, her energy levels plummet. But for Lizzie, it's just another part of her routine. And luckily, her younger sister Marina and brother Chris are always up for a picnic.
You know, but the eating part is the same thing with bodybuilders who eat like every 2 or 3 hours. I guess it's like the same situation with highs and lows. And like you and I are like in the between where we eat like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have to eat like, you know, really high portions just because they're in those high or low margins.
Instead of letting her syndrome hold her back, Lizzie is using her own life experiences to campaign against bullying.
Testing. Oh.
She's become a motivational speaker, conducting over 200 talks a year. Lizzie has even passed on her message to young people at her old secondary school.
Hi, guys.
You know, even I assumed it was, and when I first heard Lizzie talk, I thought, man, that sounded really sweet.
My parents raised me to be completely normal. They never told me I was different. The only thing they told me is that I was smaller than the other kids, but I was just like them. As I got older, I started becoming more aware of why people are staring at me, and I started getting really angry. I hated the fact that none of these kids wanted to get to know me. In my mind, I'm just like them, probably cooler. And I would never tell my parents that I was being bullied. So my way of coping and dealing with it was when I would take a bath and nobody was in the room with me, that's when I would cry.
That's the saddest thing I ever heard.
The everyday bullying that Lizzie was dealing with was nothing compared to what was to come following a national television interview about her condition.
I was at home online, and I saw a picture that looked really familiar. If you can't read it, it says, "Most ugly woman in the world." And that's me. The number on the bottom is how many views the video had when I found it. I felt like someone was literally putting their hand through the computer screen and punching me over and over. There was thousands and thousands of comments. The first one says, "You're gross. I just threw up all over my keyboard." The second, "Ew, kill it with fire now." Some asking why my parents didn't abort me because I'm so ugly. Can you imagine that?
That was terrible. How could you call yourself human when you hurt people like that?
She was just 15, but that was the defining moment which led to her creating her own campaign against bullying.
If you could say one thing to all the bullies, what would you say?
I would say I won.
You know, to wrap things all up, there was this video of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a conference in South Africa. He got kicked in the back by some kid, right? And instead of, you know, getting angry or being upset or being the victim, he just shrugged it off and made a joke about the whole thing. The point what I'm trying to say is, you know, despite all these people having to deal with these things, you know, some cases worse than others, they don't let it define them. They don't be the victim of their situation. And you know what? I hope you can take their confidence from the screen into your own lives. Have a good day.